So let's start with today's session and let's see what exactly we're doing. Let's go ahead and quickly create a VM first. And let's continue with Linux basic topics. Okay. Anyone has any doubt, any questions till with whatever things we have done till now? Anyone? No doubt, guys? Hopefully everyone is practicing whatever we have done. Keep up, because this is very basic we are doing right now. But eventually this basic will get converted into advanced topics. So make sure you guys practice and keep yourself updated. Because whatever we are doing, this has a continuation later. All these commands which we are running in Linux will be using the same set of commands in Git also. So because for Git, I'll be using Git bash. Okay, so if there's any question, please do let me know, or we can do a quick recap what we did yesterday. So yesterday we spoke about multiple things. We spoke about what is absolute path, what is relative path, what is a symling, what is a hard link, and we even spoke about the VI editor. How do we edit files in Linux? So we saw VI and the Vim editor. And lastly, we saw what exactly is file permissions. What are the different set of permissions we have? We got user, group, others, and we got 3 types of permission: read, write, execute. This is what we have seen till now. Okay, so now let's take this further and let's talk about how do we change permission. If you want to make and update permission changes, how do you do it in Linux? Okay, so the command for changing the permission is chmod followed by permissions, whatever permission you want, and the file name. So this is a syntax if you want to go ahead and change any. Chmod stands for change mod, wherein it can help you change any sort of file permission. Now how exactly that is done, we'll see that, but this is the syntax to start with. Now let's go and log into this VM first quickly. Okay, perfect. So we are currently logged in. I don't have any file. Let's quickly go and create few files so that we can have some sort of permissions. Okay. Now this is what the permission is look like. This is what we got: read write access to the user, read write access to the group, and we got the read access to the others. Okay, so this is we are logged in currently. Let's keep it aside for now. Syntax to change permission. There are 2 ways to change permission, if you ask me. One is absolute way. The second way is symbolic. Now there are 2 ways of changing permission in Linux, so whichever way you like, you can go for it. Both does the exact same thing. Okay. Now when I say absolute, so in absolute the permissions are not represented as a character, but as a 3-digit octal number. So over here we are talking about permission is RWX in characters, correct? But if you follow the absolute way, it is represented as numbers. Now the same thing, and if you go with absolute, it will be an octal number. Now wherein the R will be represented in absolute way will be 4. W will be represented as 2. X will be represented as 1. Now if I want to rewrite the same thing, this same thing in octal way, how exactly it will look like? So we got RW. So that means we're talking about 6. RW adding two numbers. This is 4 plus 2 is equal to 6. Then if we got RW again over here, then it is 6. Then we got R over here. So this R is what? 4. So the number through which it is represented, it is 664. And 664 is what? Read write access to the user, read write access to the group, and only read access to the others. So this is what absolute way is all about. Make sense? Okay. Now let's go and test this. Now you guys tell me, I want to give, listen to the use case. I want to give, this is my existing file. I want to give read, write, execute permission. Okay, one more. If there's no permission, if you're not giving any permission, then it is represented as zero. Keep this in mind. Okay.
When we are creating any
Now,
default file,
okay.
hello? Yeah, so at that time, which
Yeah.
permission is assigned to this file? Means whenever we are
Okay.
creating any file by touch command or any.
Okay. So apart from execute permission, the execute permission is not given by default. Apart from execute permission, read write permission is given to the user who is creating the file and to the group to which the file belongs. And the others will get only read only access. Execute permission is something you need to go ahead and give upfront when you're working with files. So that is the default nature whenever you go and create files. Apart from execute, all other permissions are given. Because this
Okay,
person
thank
who
you.
is creating the file is the owner of the file. So he will have the read write. He can get the execute permission also by very easily. And the group will also get the read write permission. Okay. Okay, so use cases, guys, I need to give this particular file, I need to give read, write, execute permission. I need to give a read, write, execute permission only to the user. And I want to give read access to my group. And I want to give no permission to others. How do I set this with this octal way? Read, write, execute to my user, read permission to my group, and no permission to my others. So what will be the command? What will be the number? Forget about the command. So start with read, write, execute. What should be the number, guys?
7.
7. So that means 4 for read, 2 for write, 1 for execute, correct? And what will be the other? I just want to give read permission to the group.
4.
And last but not the least should be 0,
No
correct?
permission to the other 0. Yeah.
Followed by the file name. Perfect. So let me try this. Cmod 740 and followed by the file name. If you go and see this, read, write, execute, and there's no permission to others. Perfect. Okay, now let me give you one more. I need to give now over here, I need to give read permission to the read permission to others also. So what should I do? I need to give read permission to others also. What should I do? Okay, 744.
Hmm.
Let me see if I have read permission for others. So we got read permission for others also. Everyone understood how exactly this is happening? Because I'm just getting a one response. So this is octal way, guys. So this is given in my PPT also. This is what octal way stands for, wherein you have the read is 4, write is 2, and execute is 1. This is how it is represented in reality. Okay, now let's go and have the other way around, that is symbolic mode. We saw the octal one. Hopefully everyone liked it. Now we can go and talk about symbolic. So what is the disadvantage of using absolute mode was you change permission for all three owners. Correct? Like I just said, what is the second use case I gave? That I want to change read permission for my other users. Now what we did, we went ahead and did again 744. So that means we have changed everything again. My requirement was just to add a read permission, but I went ahead and gave read write to my, looking into the previous permission, whatever permission was given, we went ahead and did that, which is okay, but sometime you may end up messing up others' permissions. Okay, if you're doing such things. So in the symbolic mode, you can modify permissions of a specific owner or users or others. If you want to have a specific permission modification done, that can be easily done with symbolic mode. So what exactly we'll use over here, we'll make use of mathematical symbols to modify the Linux file permission. Okay, so over here we'll use mathematical symbols to modify file permissions. When I say more mathematical symbols, I'm talking about this plus sign is for add permissions. If you want to add permissions, we'll have minus sign, which will eventually help you with remove permission. And then there is one more called equal to, which is more like, okay, this to set the permission and override the permission set earlier and override the permission which is set earlier. Okay, this is what we can do with this symbolic. Okay, so there are three mathematic symbols which you can use. That is plus, minus, equal to. Okay, one more to understand symbolic. There's one more table you need to understand how the things are denoted. How the denotation happens in symbolic. So U stands for, small u stands for user and owner. Small g stands for group. Small o stands for others. And small a stands for all. So if you want to change all permission at once, even a is the option which you can use it. Okay, now how do we? So now in octal way, we use the numbers like 744 and all. Now in symbolic, we'll be using this characters. UGOA followed by in combination with this guy. Now I'm giving you one use case. I want to this existing file, I want to have read, write, execute permission given to the group. Oh, forget about the group. Read, write, execute permission. I just want to give it to others because others doesn't have any read, write, execute permission. How do you give it? Let me show you one, then we'll take it from you guys. Okay, so what is the condition? I want to give read, write, execute permission to others. Now I'm not even talking about the user and the group, guys. I'm not even talking about the user and the group. I want to give read, write, execute permission to the existing file to others. How do you do it? So firstly, if you want to give a read, write, execute permission to others, so this is something read, write, execute. Correct? This is the permission which I want to give. And to whom I want to give? I want to give it to others. Others stands with in the table. Others is O. Correct? So I have O. Now I want to give what permission? Read, write, execute. So what mathematic expression I can use? Equal to sign. We already have read permission, correct? Over there. I need to override that. And after overriding, I need to give this permission. Correct? Now let's go and do ABC. Chmod O is for others. And I need to give read, write, execute permission. So equal to O. Then others, I'm not even worried about what a user has the permission, what group has the permission. No, I'm not even concerned. Okay, let me show you one more. I want to give the use cases. I want to give execute permission to the group. There's no execute permission. There's only read permission, execute permission to the group. So that is an addition. You're not kind of overriding anything. Over here, we were overriding because I was giving read, write, execute. I was not just giving write and execute permission. I was giving read, write, execute. Now over here, I'm just want to give execute permission to the group. Now chmod, what permission I want to give? Execute. So this is an addition of permission. To whom? To the group. So G stands for group. And if you're adding something, then it is a plus sign. Correct? ABC. Done. Execute permission. C. This is group. That's why G stands for group. A stands for addition. Minus stands for removal. And this is for overriding. Okay. Now let's go and let me give you one more use case. I want to remove execute permission from the user. I want to remove execute permission from the user. The condition is removal of permission. So again, chmod. So user execute permission. So X you want to remove. Whose permission you want to remove? User. So removal is minus. ABC. Done. Now guys, you can give it a try. The condition is I want to add write permission to the group. I want to add write permission to the group. Anyone wants to try? What could be? Chmod. What is the things which we need to add in between? If I want to give write permission to the group. Anyone?
G plus W.
Okay, so G plus W you want to say, correct?
Yeah.
Perfect. Now I want to remove read write execute permission from others.
O minus
Remove. Okay.
RWX ch mode.
The file name.
Perfect, guys. So whichever you like. So sometimes people like octal way, someone like symbolic way. Whichever you like, it does the exact same thing. So whichever you like, you guys go and use it, guys. So there's no stopping over here that no, you just have to use symbolic or you have to use octal. Frankly, if you ask me, sometimes I use symbolic, sometimes I stick with octal. Okay. So this is how you will play around with file permissions in Linux. Now there are other set of permission also you can see over here. The ownership and the group permission. Okay. Now ownership, if you want to change the ownership of the file, okay, that is the other set of permission what we have. We just spoke about this type of permission, the read write execute permission. Now there are other set of permission, the ownership, because by default when you create the file, the person who is creating the file gets the ownership. Now if you want to change the ownership of the file, the syntax is chown followed by the user and the file name. Chown stands for change ownership. Okay. But in case if you want to change the ownership as well as the group, because we got group as well over here, so the syntax is very similar. The only thing is you need to add group along with it, followed by the file name. This is what, how do we, so this will go and change only the ownership. This will go and change both the ownership as well as the group name. Now let me change the ownership. Let me go and, because I don't have any user right now. We haven't covered user management yet. I don't have a user right now, but I can probably go and change the ownership to something else. Let me change the ownership to root. chown. Now I want to change it to root user, like from Valaxy. So let's say root followed by the file name ABC. Not permitted because I'm changing it to root. I need to have a sudo privileges, super user privileges. So what I can do, I can simply do sudo over here. Okay, now it is done. See, who is the owner now? The root. Suppose if there is any other user in this account, then I can change the ownership to that user also. Okay, but there is none for now. And when we cover user management at that time, I can cover that too. Along with changing the user, if you want to change the group, so we have a root group also. For the group, we have a root. So I can have something like this. Now, if you go and look, both the things have changed. Okay. In case if there is a requirement that I just want to change the group, not the user, because if you want to change the group with chown, then you need to use this format only. You can't just keep chown group and file name. No, that will not work. In case if we just want to change the group, then there is a different command, grp followed by group name and followed by the file name. This is the command. Now let's go and try this. I want to change from root back to Valaxy. So I'll use sudo because I'm changing root permission now. So it is grp followed by, what is the name of the group? Valaxy, correct? And the file name. See this. Changed. This is how you will be playing around with groups and things like this, correct? Okay, so this was about file permission, guys. Anyone has any questions till now? Any doubt what exactly we are doing, how we are doing, and things like that? So this is what we were talking about. Let's go and see the PPT once. We were talking about file permission, read, write, execute. Owner stands for U, group stands for G, other stands for O. 4 is basically 2. Sorry, read is basically 4, write is 2, and X is execute. Whatever commands did we run, this is all given over here. Okay, this is also important. If you want to change specific permission, like if you want to give read, write, execute to the user folder, so it is separated by comma, then you can. So this is basically what it's doing, giving read, write, execute permission to the user, giving read, execute permission to the group, and it is removing read, write, execute permission from the others. So this is what the CMOD is doing over here. So this is same way if you want to do it using octal, 750 660 555 777. All the file permissions are given. You just need to go and run this and try these commands. Okay, user and group management. Okay, before I start this new topic, anyone has any questions, any doubt, anything you want to understand more? So the last one, let me show you again. Like for example, I want to give read, write, execute permission to the group. I want to give read, write. I just want to give read permission to others. Sorry, I want to give read, write, execute permission to the user. I want to remove execute permission from the group, and I want to add read permission. So first, what is the first condition? I want to add execute permission to the user. So adding of execute permission to the user is simple. It is simply I can do a plus execute, comma. This is how you separate commands. I want to remove execute permission from the group. So this is minus execute. Third condition, I want to add read permission to the others. So I can simply do others is adding permission read, correct? This is how, if you want to, okay, just because I've added the group as root now, I'm not permitted to do things directly, and I need to have sudo privileges, super user privileges. Done. So even this is a way of giving permissions. Now the same thing if you want to do it using numbers. So it is 7, 5, 1. So whichever way you like, easy way, you can go. There is no hard and fast rule that you need to follow this, you need to follow that, and things like that. Nothing as such. Okay. Okay. That's it from the file permission. Let's go back and understand the user group management. Okay. Before I go and
Yeah,
jump onto the user, yeah, tell me.
if any user is created in a Linux machine, so how we can know means what is means where the user is based, means in which group, means in Windows we have multiple group like administrator, remote desktop users. So when any by default user is created, at that time means users directly go in means sudo, or means how we can confirm that means our user in which group.
Yeah, we'll confirm that in this topic, the next topic which we are covering, user and group management. We'll see. So just to answer your question, if you create a user and if you don't assign a group, so automatically with the same username, a group is also created. And automatically the user is getting added to that group. So if you see Valaxy we created, so even Valaxy had a group. So did we create a Valaxy group? No, it was automatically created. But that is not the right way. You need to have a specific group created and you need to add, whenever you're adding a user, the user should be added to that specific group. How exactly, where do you check and all, this is something we'll see it now in a bit. Okay. Now, what are the types of user? Firstly, let's understand in Linux. You will come across three types of user in mostly users in Linux. The first is the root users, or you can say root account. The second is system account. The third is user account. Okay, when we say the root account, so this is also called a super user, the sudo which I was doing. They are super user. When I say super user, they have all the privileges. So they will have all privileges, complete control on the system. A super user can run any command without any restrictions. So if you're giving a super user permission to anyone, so you should assume that they are the system administrators, in short. So this access is given mostly to the system admins. They can do whatever they want on this if they have system administrator permission. Okay, now what is the system account? So system account are those basically needed for system specific components. So there are system specific components application which is running and you need service ID kind of thing. For example, if you want to run mail account, so you will need some sort of SSHD account to be created, a user to be created. Or if you want some like Nginx, so you will need a Nginx user to be created to manage the Nginx services and all. So all these becomes a system specific users. So mostly you can call this as service IDs. In Windows we have service IDs, correct? So we give specific service IDs what we create. Basically this is used for system related work. This is not used by anyone, like you and me will not be using those. That is a program which is using that ID, and that particular ID has least privileges so that it is only able to perform what needs to be performed. That's it, nothing else. Okay. The third type is the user account. So this user account, what basically will do, it will provide interactive access. It can provide you interactive access to the system for users and group of users. So if you have user account, you've been added to your user account, you can have access on the OS. So you can have interactive access, you will be able to perform general operations. Okay, so general user will have limited access, so they cannot perform any critical destruction of file, deletion of files, anything as such. For that they will need super user privileges. Okay, so these are the three types. Mainly we'll talk about this user account and the super user. So if you want to convert a user into a super user, that is quite possible, you can do that. So basically you'll be giving root privileges to them. Okay, before I jump on and start talking about how do we create users, how do we create super users, let's see where exactly you can find the details of these users. Okay, so there are multiple critical files which you will come across. For few, there are few names like etc password. These are the files wherein it keeps the user account and password information of the user. So if you want to read the file, it is cat etc password. Now if you see the Valaxy user, you have the Valaxy user added over here, and there are other users. There are system users, there are root user. This is the root user. There are system users. I was talking about system D, system network. Now this is LXD, and this is the user what we have added. Now let's break this, what exactly this file is and what are information this file contains. So basically this file contains majority of information about account users. Okay, now let's go back and see this. Okay, this was the file etc password. This is a very critical file. This Valaxy user will not be able to edit or make any changes to the file. This is done when you create a user. Now this is basically a user which you have created, and to any user, when you create a user, there's a unique ID assigned, which we call it as UID. Okay, this is the unique ID through which the user is identified. This is assigned, so that is UID. And similarly we have GID. This is if you want to give a full name to the user, then the full name, and there are other information also you can give like address and all, so that will all come over here. This is a home directory, so whenever the user is created, a home directory needs to be created. If not, then the user will not be able to perform any operation. You cannot create any file, you cannot uh, do anything, in short, because he doesn't have a home directory, and if he doesn't have root privileges, he cannot do anything. Okay, followed by the default shell, bin bash. So we spoke about shell, correct? So shell is something when you log in as a user, this is the thing which gets program which gets loaded, and this is eventually helping you to interact with the kernel, correct? If you want to pass on any commands to the operating system, this is the shell which is required. And there's one more thing missing. There is a password. There was X. This X means there is a password set for this user, which is missing over here. So the password thing will come somewhere between over here. So this X means it's a password. Valaxy has a password, correct? So if you have a password, then this is how you need to go and see the password. Okay, so this is how a user is create. So this is the complete. So anyone, if in an interview, how do we check what is the users created? What are the shell attached to it? What is the UID, GID? So cat etc password. It will give you all the information regarding the user. Okay. Now there's one more file I want to talk about. Okay. So as I was talking about, user account, super user, system account, and we got service accounts also. Let's kept it separate. So if you have any service account, then this is something you can create. These are the commands which you can find out who is logged in, who was logged in, who is currently logged in, when was the last logged in, and if you want to switch user. So this is command which I'm running very frequently. Who, you can see who is currently logged in. ID, if you want to find out, this gives you more information about the UID and the GID. Okay. Last, if you want to see the last login, then you can see who has logged in the last. So Valaxy user itself. And if you want to switch user, so SU followed by the user name. Like suppose if I'm creating a user called Bob, something like this. SU hyphen Bob. This will do a switch user for you. Now let's go and create a user. How do we create a user in Linux? Very easy. User add, and you can give a home directory to this user. Like I want to create a user Bob. Okay. So let's have a home directory attached to him. -d /home/ Bob, something like this. So I'm giving a home directory. We can give more information like if you want to give a shell, if you want to give a UID and anything is such, we can add those also, guys. But for now, let me stick with very simple user creation with home directory Bob. Permission denied, cannot update etc file. So as I said, user creation is not a role of anyone. Simple user creation is not a simple user role. Okay, you need to have root privileges. If you want to create a user, you need to have root privileges. So what all things you're creating a directory for that person, you're creating a user. We are not assigning any passwords for now, so we are just sticking with just a user creation. Done. Now if you go
Where
and
we
read your
added a username in this command.
so user add -d stands for directory. This is the directory what we have assigned, and this is a username Bob.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Okay. Cat etc. Let's go and see the password. Now I'll just open Bob. So how do we grab Bob? Do you see this X now? Okay. Now Bob. So we haven't given any password yet. So this is blank kind of. It's not any password, and you cannot even view passwords from here. This is not the right file. I'll show you which is the right file wherein you can see if there are passwords assigned or not. Okay. You cannot see the password also, guys. The password will be encrypted, but it will give you a fair idea that there are some sort of password which is set. And now if you see the user UID after Valaxy was 1000, after it 1001. That is the sequence what it follows. You have the user home directory, and this is the shell by default shell which got assigned. Now if you want to switch user Bob. Okay, it is asking for a password which we haven't set, but it is inheriting the password. Let me go and set the password also for Bob first before we go and do anything. Let's go and set the password for Bob. Okay, so sudo pass wd, that is the command for password, followed by Bob. Now give the password. I put it as test 1234, test 1234. Updated successfully. Now do a switch. Test 1234. Done. Okay, cannot change directory to home. No such file created. So basically, it is using the directory of Valaxy only. This directory somehow was not created. So yeah, I think capital D. If you use it, then it should create it. We'll see it later. For now, it is using the same directory. If you go and see who is logged in now, you will find out this person. Well, let's see. Who am I? Okay, no. So who am I? We are currently logged in as Bob. Let me fix this directory issue first. Give me 1 minute. Let's go back and give this Bob its own directory. Make dir home Bob. So this -d command works very well in CentOS and Linux, guys. Ubuntu is a different way. How do we tackle the user creation is Ubuntu in Ubuntu. Now let's switch back to Bob, and I should not see the error now. Test 1 2 3 4. See, no error. The directory error is gone. Now if I see, I am in the Bob directory, and this is how, if I want to see who is logged in, then it is Bob. This is how user is created in Linux. Okay, now you don't need to remember all the flags and everything, guys. You just have to go user add -l and you can see what you can do. So this is, we did already -d home directory of the new account, but the directory was not created, hence it was not able to assign the home directory. You can even assign groups and everything. That is something we'll see. See, I can use -m to create the home directory in case it is not created. So if I would have used the -m flag, it would have created the home directory also. If I would have used along with -d, if I would have used this -m, it would have created the home directory also for the user. Okay, so keep this in mind. This is how you will be using these flags based on what type of requirement and what type of things you have. So this will just assign home directory, and this -m will basically create the home directory for the user also. Okay, there's one more file I want to show you, wherein now whether the password is assigned to the user or not, what is the expiry of the password, and everything will, where do you see? So there is a file called etc shadow. This is again a root file. These are not available, these files are not available for the normal user. These are all root files. See, that's why permission denied. Now if you see Valaxy and Bob, let me just filter out with Valaxy and Bob. Grab, see this Bob followed by this is the password, and this comes with, this is your expiry, when this ID will get expired, and this is 7 days prior. It will tell you, give you the warning, and this is unlimited. So this is not the right way of putting things. You can even set up expiry when the user will get expired and things like that. So if anyone asks in an interview, how do we check if the user has been set password, and what is the expiry, if the user is expired or if the user is disabled, how do we check? If any such questions, etc shadow, this is the place wherein you will see this information. Now let's go back. Let me show you etc shadow in more details. Now this is what the command we ran. Okay, so this is Bob, this is the password till here, this is the password, and this is last change. See this, last change, minimum age, maximum age, warning, inactive, expiry date. So any such questions, so suppose you're getting a, if you're working as a administrator, and if you're getting a query that I'm not able to log in, there's a great chance that the password has expired or the user is inactive. How do you check it? You have to go into the etc shadow file, and you need to see if the user is expired, or if the password is, if the user is inactive, or if the password is expired. All this will be set inside etc shadow file. Understood, guys? Okay, now this is what, where you can go and see user information.
Yeah,
Now
Madhu.
if you want to delete the user, yep, tell me.
Yeah, means you have shown the two different means the inactive and the in above line there is some value. So how what is it means to show means the user is inactive?
Yeah,
How we
that will
can con
clearly show over you, user inactive. The
means
status will show over. So if you see, this is user part, and from here till here, this is your password part. Then this is the minimum age. This 0 is maximum age. When you'll get the warning, you will have your inactive status over here. So, and then you have your expiry date, which is set to. This is how you can just, this is because if there is inactive, you'll get inactive also over here. This user is not inactive currently, because if you see, I took the Bob example only. If there's a user is
Value
inactive, it will show
means what is the
clearly.
value for the inactive? It's a 7 number.
No. There's no number. It will clearly show inactive. Clearly,
And
if it's a cycle
for
English,
the for the maximum age, it's the means this number 19418. What is its value? It's a days or what?
the maximum, this is the numbers given over here. So this is the unlimited. So as of now, we haven't set anything as such. This is 7 number is giving you warning. 7 days prior, it will start giving you warning.
Okay.
Okay, 7 days prior, it will set you. Now, if you want to set all this, if you want to set this inactive, the age and everything, so while creating the user, you'll have to have all this flag set. You need to have all this flag. You need to give all this information set while creating the user, or while setting up the passwords. All this inactive, see this password inactive period for the new account. If you want to set the expiry date for the new account, these are all the flags which you need to use. So because we haven't set anything, so all the by default, so by default is unlimited, guys. So whatever numbers you see, that is unlimited. This user will never get expired. This user Bob will never get expired. That is set as unlimited. That is not the right way of doing it, but yeah, this is what we have right now. But if you want to set, these are all the flags. You can use it and you can set things for him. Okay, makes sense?
Okay.
Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and just to answer your question, if it is inactive, it will clearly show inactive. When you go and look into the shadow file, it will clearly show the user is inactive. The date has come, the user is inactive.
The values that showing means it's a default value, means that not have any meaning.
It is, if you see the actually values, it is set as 999. This values, this is unlimited, no expiry basically. It doesn't have any meaning. So there's no expiry set for this user basically. So after this much of year, the user will get expired. So that is what it says. So basically there is nothing as such over here, no meaning at all. But whenever you create a user, you should definitely select expiry. You should see if the user is not logged in for last 7 days, then the ID should get inactive, and all these conditions you need to set whenever you're creating a user in real time. Okay. Now this was about user creation. Now think of user deletion. How do we delete users? The answer is straightforward. You can simply, there's a command called user del, using which you can go and delete the user. Okay, like for example, user del followed by the username. So I have to use sudo. Without sudo, I cannot do anything. The user is deleted. Now, if I go and look into cat etc password, not pass your password file, the Bob user is gone. So user del will basically go and delete the user. Okay. Now we got a group. How do we create group? What are the different files we need to see in group, and everything we'll see it tomorrow or today. So for now we'll stop over here and I'll take questions. If there's any questions, guys, please tell me. All the commands, guys, whatever commands I ran, the command is given over here. If you want to set password, want to add user, and if you want to check who is logged in, and this is how the password is set. So the command is given in the PPT in case of you want to go and reference it. Okay, so that's it for me. Let me know if there's any question. We'll stop over here and we'll continue tomorrow with the
I have
same
a
topic.
question. I have a question.
Tell me.
It's not related to class material. It's more about the schedule. I just wanted to confirm that we are back on schedule now and back on schedule to complete the course in 2 months. I know we had to back for some new students. I just wanted to understand the schedule moving forward.
Okay, we are on schedule currently. So, and we are following the path what is mentioned in the course curriculum. We had a drift 2 weeks back wherein we had new students coming in, so we went back and did the networking part again. But now we are on schedule and we are doing things as per schedule, so there's no drift as such.
Sounds good. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, I think there was a question in the chat. Any specific use of UID and GID? Yeah, UID is a unique identification number. So this is how the user is identified in Linux. Same goes with GID. So it's a number which is associated when the user account is created. So this is how the users are identified, Kareem, with the help of UID and GID number. Anyone else? Any other questions, guys? Okay, so that's it. Let's wind up. Let's come back again. Continue with this user management. Mostly, I think we'll complete Linux tomorrow. And post that, I'm starting with Git. That is the first day.
I have a
Yep.
question.
Tell me.
Yeah, I know you gave us a homework, an assignment. Do you always go do like a general review just so that we should be clear, like the mistake we made? I'm not sure if you are going to have time to review it.
No. I'll definitely review. So whenever you complete your assignments, so the output, whatever the output you get, just take a screenshot of that output and send it across to Valaxy administrators, and that is somewhere I access the assignments from there. So once you're done, and if you want me to review those, take a screenshot of the output. By just seeing the output, I'll come to know whether you have followed the right process or not.
Oh
And
man.
send that, yeah, and send it across to the Valaxy admin team, and that comes to me eventually, and I'll be reviewing those. And if you
Oh
get
wow.
stuck somewhere, we can discuss this over the call, and we can see where exactly you're stuck with the assignments. Okay.
Okay, so I have to do it again because I was just deleting it. So
That's okay.
okay.
You have already done it once. That's okay. No need of going and doing it again. But if you do it again, it's a practice for you. But yeah, but it's okay. And
Okay.
just keep this in mind going forward.
All right, sounds good.
Uh, Kenneth, I thought we are all going to go through the projects. Kenneth, there are so many students. It's not possible for me to go each and every individual and go through what they have done. And it's very time consuming, so hence it's better if you guys send me across those assignments. During my free time I can go through it, and if I found anything which is missing or which you have done wrongly, we can possibly talk about that over the call. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Okay guys, thank you very much. Please continue with this and don't wait for the assignment thing. Do your own practice, and if you get stuck, let's discuss it over the call. because if you're stuck somewhere, definitely there are others who are stuck on the same page. So let's discuss it over the call and let's get this rolling. Okay. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Let's meet up tomorrow.